You're watching Adam the Bull on the Bet Rivers Network.
Welcome, everybody, into the bullpen, brought to you by Bet Rivers. I'm Adam the Bull, and before we bring in our guest, Herm Edwards, let me tell you that Bet Rivers players who place the same game parlay of at least $10 on NFL or NCAA football games will receive an entry into the weekly Squares game. Winning Squares can earn up to a $50 bonus bet per entry. See the Bet Rivers app or website for full details. Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. Thrilled to be joined by longtime great NFL coach Herm Edwards and NFL analyst now, of course, as well. He is with us. Coach, how are you? Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your show. Obviously, this time of the year, if you're a football fan,
Yeah.
you're kind of excited if your team has at least 7 wins, because if you got 7 wins, for the most part, you're still in playoff contention. I think there's probably, 18 teams total on both sides of the ball, on both sides of the divisions that have a chance, and that's all you can ask for, the chance.
You know, sadly, I got to start with my local team here in Cleveland, who doesn't have a chance to make the playoffs. But maybe, just maybe, we got a little shot of hope last week with the performance by Shedeur Sanders. Coach, first of all, have you ever seen, you've been part of this league or covering this league for a long time, have you ever seen a reaction from fans, media, everything, like what's happened with Shedeur Sanders? Have you ever seen anything like it? Tebow, maybe? I don't know.
Well, it doesn't surprise me because of who he is and who his father is, and just his demeanor. You know, the moment is never too big for him. I can remember I used to coach the Under Armour All-American game down there in Florida, and Dion was one of the coaches, and he would help with both secondaries. So Shedeur was running around back in them days, little guy just running around, right? So he has a lot of confidence, obviously, and he has some talent. There's no doubt about that. And I think if you're a Cleveland fan, and as you mentioned, not the best season this year for you. A lot of it had to do with, in my opinion, when you have 5 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback, right? But that's the road they chose, and that's fine. And now all of a sudden, due to some injuries and other things happening, Shedeur has his shot, and he's making good of it. And it was no doubt in my mind after that game. Well, they said, "Who's the starter?" I said, regardless of, you may think you have another starter as a head coach, but you better start him, because if not, the fans are going to storm the castle because they want to see him play, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah. You know, Coach, I'm fascinated by the Shedeur situation because I talk about it all the time working in Cleveland. And you know better than most people that the NFL is an old boys network, right? And there's a lot of groupthink, in my opinion, in the NFL. Certainly correct me if I'm wrong. But a lot of GMs and a lot of head coaches, certainly not all, and certainly not every GM, but a lot of them are cut from the same cloth. And I think a lot of them want a quarterback. They envision a type of quarterback, and sometimes guys don't fit in the mold of what the group think is about a quarterback. We saw that with some people's reaction to Lamar Jackson when he first came in the league, including guys saying he should have been a wide receiver, which seemed insane to me, but it obviously didn't to them. And one of the things I think I've learned over the last few months about Shedeur Sanders is he's clearly not the typical quarterback in terms of, the way he talks to the media, the way but who cares about that? Like, I want a coach that's going to get on the wavelength of my quarterback as opposed to forcing my quarterback to get on my wavelength. I don't know. I've rambled a little bit here, but what do you think about what I'm saying there?
No, you make a good statement because he does play quarterback.
Yeah.
And there's a certain way that, over the history of the National Football League and just football in general, that you want a quarterback to act. And how do you want him to go about doing things, right? And it's the vocal point of your team along with the head coach. You represent the team. And your actions and how you speak and how you go about things kind of, it can rub people the wrong way if it's not in line of what they've seen before. But as you mentioned, he's a little bit different. And sometimes that can cause a problem with certain fan base and certain, fans in that fan base, not all, but
Yeah.
and that's the world we live in. We get all that. But I think at the bottom line is this: just keep winning.
That's it.
If you keep winning, you don't have to worry about it. Now, when you don't, then it's going to come back on you, and that was kind of, that's how Dion was as a player, right? Now, he has way more talent than his son. Okay, Dion is an extraordinary athlete. I mean, one of the best athletes to ever play the position. But his son is a guy that has a lot of confidence. And I think, like you mentioned, the quarterback position now in today's world is different than it was when I came in the league.
Sure.
When I came in the league, all of a sudden, Randall Cunningham came to Philadelphia, and everybody was like, "What is this? What is he doing? Why is he running?" Well, okay, that was in the late '80s, and now you see these quarterbacks in college. We call them dual threats,
Mm-hmm.
and the deal is this. I've always said this about being a coach: you can have a system, especially when it comes to quarterback, but if your system is not flexible enough to deal with the player that you have playing that position, you got a flawed system. You have a flawed system. You just do.
Yeah.
And with that being said, you have to adjust. You got to adjust your system to the quarterback that's playing. You can't say, "Well, he can't do that. This is what he can do." Well, we can still play football. You might have to change it a little bit. And if you're not willing to do that, the quarterback fails, the offensive coordinator fails, the team fails, everyone fails, and then guess what they get to do? They get to blame it on the quarterback. Right?
That's right.
That's what you do. You blame it on the quarterback. Yeah. And I say that all the time. I say, sometimes we get all enamored with people we know. And I used to tell coaches, what's great about football? We should do this one day. Just tell the players to go out on the field and wear no jersey numbers. Don't wear a jersey number. And pick the best 22 guys without knowing who they are. Let them play and pick the best 22. That's what you used to do going to the park when you played pickup basketball.
That's right.
You went to the park. You didn't know anybody. You say, "Hey, man, I got to take 3 guys off the losing team." And one guy had red hair and the other guy had purple shoes and the other guy had 2 shoes, different shoes. And they were the best players. So I'm taking them 3 guys.
Right.
Right. And so I just think we're in a place now, though, that obviously things have changed in the NFL, and good for the NFL. I mean, because it needs to change. And when you have a good quarterback, it doesn't matter, how he plays. Can he win?
Yeah.
That's the key. Can he win?
Yeah. And the Browns, who have been such a snake-bitten franchise, maybe, just maybe, they finally caught a break. And the fact that Shedeur dropped to the 5th round when he should never have dropped to the 5th round might have been – And you know what? As terrible an experience that was for him with the crank phone call, which was complete garbage and all that stuff, maybe Shedeur and the Browns will look back, and maybe we'll all look back a couple of years from now and say maybe that he ended up in the Browns, as weird as it was the first year, getting drafted in the 5th round. Maybe that ended up being the best thing for him, because it put a confident guy who's still confident, but it put a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And it's good to play with a chip. It's always good to have a chip on your shoulder. It just is. It makes you focus a lot more. And look, I'm hoping it comes to fruition where he continues to play well, and they can say this is our quarterback going forward. Because in my opinion, in my humble opinion, and I've been involved in the National Football League a long time, playing and coaching over 30 years, the Cleveland Browns need to be relevant.
Yeah,
they just do. They had the greatest player to ever play the game to play for the Cleveland Browns. That's Jim Brown.
Yep.
And I'll debate that with anybody that wants to debate it. He's the greatest football player ever played. And I was fortunate enough to be able to meet Jim Brown and visit with him and talk with him. And I tell you what, you talk about a football player, holy moly, could he play football? Man, wow.
No doubt about it. Jim Brown, the absolute legend, ahead of his time. No doubt about it. And obviously, I didn't see Jim Brown play. He played before I was born, and certainly people a lot younger than me never saw Jim Brown play. But and And of course, and he was great in movies. The Dirty
Oh,
Dozen. What
yeah, he
beats
was
the
good.
Dirty Dozen?
Yeah, he cut his career short. I mean, can you imagine if he
Yeah.
had a 10-year career, what
Oh
he would have
my
done? I mean,
gosh.
when he got out, everybody was shocked. Now, I didn't play against him, but I watched
Yeah.
him growing up play. I knew who number
Yeah.
32 was. I said, that dude right there, there's 11 guys and can't nobody tackle a guy.
Yeah.
To me, I was going, I don't care what you say. He gets the ball 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. 11 guys know he's going to get the ball. Nobody can tackle a guy.
Yeah. It's
I'm like,
amazing.
it's pretty
amazing. Coach, speaking of great players,
Yes.
Myles Garrett has
Mm.
20 sacks with 4 games to go in the season. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I'll let you talk about like where this guy is right now.
I'm just hoping Cleveland can play with some leads.
Yeah, I know.
So he has to go get them because I
Yeah.
tell you what, now he can wreck the game. They try to double him, they try to chip him. It ain't gonna matter. When he gets going, and his job is, we used to tell those defensive guys, go hunt the quarterback. That's what he does. He can hunt the quarterback, and he's relentless. I mean, he's relentless. He doesn't give up. I mean, he just keeps coming. As long as that quarterback has the ball in his hand, you better believe you may stop him, you may chip him, you may double him, but if you hold that ball too long, he gonna get you. There ain't no doubt about that.
I spoke with Joe Thomas, the Hall of Fame tackle recently,
yeah.
and Joe said to me, he's like, listen, I've played against some great pass rushers.
Yeah.
And some of them have incredible strength, and some of them have incredible speed, and some of them have both. But he said what Myles Garrett can do that nobody else he's ever played against can do is not only does he have the strength, not only does he have the speed, but he talked about his bend.
Yes.
That is unmatched. He said he's never seen anything like it in his life. What's your take on that?
No, that's factual, and I'll give you one. In my era, was Lawrence Taylor.
Of course, yeah.
You couldn't block him either, and and you
gosh.
knew he was coming. And we played, and that was my era. And we played against the Giants twice. And I used to tell Jaws, man, you better get rid of it because he's coming, man. This dude here, we can't block that guy. And I was a defensive player. I mean, he was one of the guys when I was a pro football player that when you played him, you actually stood up as a defensive player and you watched him. You wanted to watch him. You didn't sit on the bench to get, drink your Gatorade.
Yeah.
You actually got up and said, are we going to block this guy or what?
Yeah. That is amazing. And, do you know Leroy Horde?
Yeah. Well, Leroy. Coach? Yes. Mm-hmm.
So Leroy's a friend, and he obviously is a Browns alum, and he's a regular on another show I'm at. And Leroy tells some off the field Lawrence stories about like playing golf with him.
Yeah.
That are super hilarious.
Oh.
I mean, that guy was unbelievable.
He's a great guy. Yeah, he's a great guy. He really is. We're all older now, and so you mellow out some when you get older. But I've been at some events with Lawrence. He's a hoot, man. He's a lot of fun to be around.
Coach, Phillip Rivers is coming out of retirement. He hasn't played in 5 seasons. He just celebrated his 44th birthday. The Colts are, they got off to a great start. They were, I think, 7 or 8-1.
Yeah.
They've lost 3 in a row. They're in trouble. They're not in the playoffs as of this moment. Can Phillip Rivers save their season?
If you protect him, he can still throw it. This reminds me of my era when I was a head coach with the Jets.
Yeah.
And we were down. Now we didn't get in the playoffs. It was a bad year. But I was down to the 5th quarterback. And when Chad went down, it was a home game, and it was before the half. I walked into the locker room and I said, "Call Vinny, Testaverde."
Yeah.
He was in Florida, because he was there before. Now Vinny I think Vinny was 37, and he said he told the guy to call him, had one of the assistants call him. He said he was waiting on the call. He said he'll be here tomorrow, and sure enough, he came up and he started the next week. And he'd been sitting in Florida golfing and just, "Hey, coach, if you need me, I'm available." And he was, and his arm was still live. He still had a live arm, and that's what you see in Phillip Rivers. I know, we used to play him all the time when I was with the Jets. We'd go out and play San Diego.
Sure.
Watching him throw it, and he had an awkward throw when he came out of North Carolina, or was it North Carolina? He came out of.
I think you're right.
Because I remember scouting him and looking at him, and I said, "This dude got a weird arm delivery, but he gets the ball out, and he's accurate and competitive, big guy." So I hope if this is the case and he plays this week, I hope he plays good for him, because I'm a Phillip Rivers fan.
Let's talk a little bit about the other team you were a head coach for, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, yeah.
What a struggle. I mean, the last few weeks I kept saying, they'll right the ship. They'll right the ship. I don't know. Might be too late. Are you shocked?
No, they're tired. They're like the Eagles. They're tired. You know, when you go to as many playoff games and you participate every year and you go to Super Bowls and you do all that stuff, 2 or 3 years down the road, those are a lot of games. They catch up to you, right? And you don't know that, but they do. And I can remember that in Philly when we went to the Super Bowl. We had been a playoff team prior to that, and all of a sudden the next year we get in the first round and we get eliminated by the Giants, and we were tired because you play extra games every year. You play 2 or 3 extra games and playoff games. That's a whole different mode when you get into playoffs. I mean, it's you think the NFL season is rough and the speed of the game. When you get into the playoffs, it's like, oh, this is really different. So I think that has something to do with it. They were wounded early in the season, got off to not a really good start, had a bunch of receivers down, and they rely on Patrick Mahomes. Now their defense was hanging in there, has been hanging in there all year, but the magic of Patrick Mahomes, breathing life into all these guys, it's hard. And now they sit in a position where you're right, they might miss the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's going to be so weird to have the playoffs and not.
They got to win out. There's only 4 games left. They got to win out, and then they got to hope.
Yeah,
they got to win out, and then they got to hope.
I don't think there are a lot of people that thought we'd see Burrow, Lamar, and Patrick Mahomes not in the playoffs. I wasn't predicting that, and that leaves it wide open for Josh Allen there, Coach. And I know the Bills have been a little up and down this year, but I feel like it's got to be his year in the AFC. I don't know.
When you say Josh Allen, I tell you what, that put a smile on my face. He is that is the number one guy that I make sure when the Buffalo Bills are playing, I'm going to watch Josh Allen. I am a Josh Allen fan. He put on his cape last week again. And just when you watch him play, you just laugh. You just start laughing.
It's crazy.
Because really this team, and I've said it numerous times on air, when they break the huddle on offense, the Buffalo Bills, there's 2 people you're concerned with, the quarterback and the runner. That's it. There ain't no one else on offense that scares you. You can't sit there and say, I'm worried about. No. You're worried about the quarterback and the runner. Shakir's done a nice job as a receiver. I get all that. He's a free agent receiver. Look,
you're right.
I was a free agent, so I love free agents, and he's done great. But when they break the huddle, I'm going, hey, it's the quarterback and the runner at the end of the day. If you stop them, they got no offense. Problem is, they can't stop 17.
No, he's unbelievable, and his dual threat ability. I mean, that at the end of that was a wild game with the Bengals, and obviously Burrow threw that bad pick. But right at the end, the Bengals had scored another touchdown, and if they had stopped the Bills, they would have gotten the ball with a minute to go. With Burrow, it's not over. And then Josh Allen on 3rd and 15 runs for 20 yards. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh, that's what he does. And, the one, he's running around, and then not only did he run around, then he makes the perfect slide at home. I said, he even slides good, man. He can even he stole home. He slid in, and I said, okay, game's over. Yeah.
I'm curious in the NFC, Seattle and the Rams. These are 2 teams that obviously had great success. Seattle won Super Bowl. The Rams won a Super Bowl. And then they went downhill a little bit, but neither really hit rock bottom. They were kind of mediocre, maybe a little worse than that. And now they both shot right back up in different ways. Like Seattle went and reinvigorated Sam Darnold, obviously from Minnesota too. Whereas the Rams just stuck with a guy that I think a lot of people thought was done, and he is far from it. I think these are 2 of the best teams in football. What do you think of these 2 teams?
You did it right. I mean, Sam Darnold resurrected his career there in Seattle, obviously, and you can't say enough about Matthew Stafford, man.
Well, it's unbelievable.
He's a candidate to be the MVP. I mean, he is.
Yeah.
Boom. I mean, he is just playing lights out. And then the head scratcher was when who did they lose to, Carolina or something like that a week ago?
Yes.
And then, because going into that, I said, hey, on the NFC side, if you look at all the teams, the Rams are the most complete team. Good offense, good defense, good
Yeah.
kicking game. And then they go to Carolina, and I went, what is that? But then they bounce back, and I went, okay, I'm still on the Rams bandwagon. I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
They're in a tough division because you mentioned Seattle, and maybe the coach of the year might be Shanahan for what he's done with San
Yeah.
Francisco because
Yeah,
they
no
were
doubt.
all beat up. They didn't have
Yep.
anybody. And
Yep.
they found their way all of a sudden. They're in the hunt. I mean, it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
whoa, 49ers are in the hunt all of a sudden again. And no one anticipated that. But they just found a way to win games early when they were all beat up. And, I'm looking at their deal. I'm going, hey, man, these dudes, they got 9 wins. They got 9. The Rams got 10. Seattle has 10. So
Yeah.
that division is very competitive.
Another team, I just want to hit on a couple more teams.
Sure.
Another team that's out of the playoffs right now is the Detroit Lions. I like probably many others, very high on the Lions. Jared Goff's a solid player. Jahmyr Gibbs, to me, is as good, talented as any back in the league. I'm surprised. I mean, I don't want to say they're struggling. They're 8-5. But what do you make of the Lions right now?
Well, you're right. But here's a team, too. I thought, when they lost Ben Johnson, that was big. That was big.
Mm-hmm.
And then coach decided to be the offensive coordinator. I think it took him a while early in the season to get this thing going, to get the offense flowing like it had before. And that was a big deal. And then Ben Johnson, not only does he leave, he stays in the conference. And I said, that is the best move the Chicago Bears could ever make. You got a guy in the conference with one of the best teams in that division, and he comes to your team. And it's like, uh-oh. He knows every team in the division. He plays them twice every year. So that gives him a little bit of an edge. He knows how to attack them. Because he's done it as a coordinator. Now he's the head coach. And if you look at the transformation of Williams, Caleb Williams, it's like night and day, right? It's
Absolutely.
like night and day. And no one would have, that's another team. No one would have said with 4 games left, the Chicago Bears are in first place.
Yeah.
At 9-3.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, 9-4. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Last team I wanted to hit on, that's the Carolina Panthers, because nobody thought much of them coming into the season. Most people had given up on Bryce Young. I think I'm like the 1% of people that thought Bryce Young was going to have a good season, and obviously got off to a terrible start. I think he's played better lately. They are tied with Tampa. Tampa's struggling. Baker Mayfield, who got off to a great start, has been bad for the last month. Are you a Bryce Young believer, and do you buy into the Panthers or no?
I recruited Bryce Young when I was at Arizona State.
Okay.
So I've known him when he was in high school. And he might weigh 15 pounds more now than he did when he was in high school. He didn't get any taller.
No.
And you're sitting there and you watch him in high school and you say, this guy's pretty good. Because at that point, Jayden Daniels was getting ready to leave. So we had to get somebody to fill his spot.
Yeah.
And so, you watch him play and you go, I don't know. And then you watch him play this year and he's not the biggest guy in the world. But the one thing he would do, even as a high school player, would compete. Just knows how to compete. And you worry about he's going to get hurt. Nah, he don't get hurt. He just keeps playing, right? And you're right. That's a division where Tampa Bay generally has owned this division for the last 3 years.
Yep.
And they're not the Tampa Bay they were the last couple of years. That division, the leaders are 7-6.
Yes.
So that's up for grabs. You're right. It's between Carolina and Tampa to see who wins this division.
Yeah, no doubt about it. One last thing, Coach, before we go, because obviously you mentioned Jayden Daniels. And, he was, to me, the best rookie I'd ever seen, or one of the best rookies. I think we all forget about Dan Marino's rookie season. A lot of young fans don't remember that. But I thought he was one of the most impressive quarterbacks. This year, everything went right for Washington last year. Everything's gone wrong. He's been hurt.
Yeah.
He has struggled when he's been healthy. I don't even know if he's really healthy right now. Who the heck knows? But, that's what I figured. So what do you make of what's happened to him and them this year?
Well, second year is always your toughest year. And I told him that after last season. I said, hey, man, your second year after your first year in the NFL is always harder. And I can remember when I was an NFL player, my rookie year, I come in and start, my second year, man, it was like hard in the beginning because you almost force it. You want to be better than you were your rookie year, right?
Sure.
And so that kind of happened. Then he gets hurt, and they just struggle. They're just not they're not in sync, right? And when you watched him the first year, it wasn't surprising for me. And, and I'm laughing when
Yeah.
I watch him play, and everybody's trying to compare him. This guy said, and I told him when he was playing for me, I said, you don't know this guy. I said, but I want you to look him up. I want you to look him up as a football player. And there's this guy named Randall Cunningham.
Ah.
And I said, you remind me of Randall Cunningham. Almost the same stature. Randall weighed a little bit more, but the same height, same body build, and that's how we kind of play. Same arm delivery, the whole 9 yards.
Can he
And
punt like Randall? Can he
well,
punt
he
the
did.
ball?
Now, I don't know if he can kick. I don't know if he can kick regular Randall, but it's just amazing, the year he had his first year, and then he gets injured this year. And I told him, when I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, I said, man, are you okay? He said, I'm going to try to come back. I said, okay, just be careful. And that's who he is. He wants to play. Doesn't matter what their record is. He's the leader of the team. He says, he's not tapping out, just like Joe Burrows. And that's the kind of quarterback you want. They can tap out and say, hey, man, the season's done. There's nothing for me to play for. He ain't that kind of guy. And so now I just think that, it comes in threes. He's been injured a couple times this year, so hopefully that goes away.
Yeah.
He gets healed on the offseason, comes back, and has a good year for him next year.
I agree. I'm a big fan, and so I hope he really I think he'll bounce back and do well next year. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate it. Thank you for joining me. Great to talk with Herm Edwards, legendary NFL coach. Great insight from him on Shedeur Sanders and a whole lot more. Thanks to Z and Alex. I'm forgetting names lately. I'm a bit of a mess. For joining me, producing as always. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. We'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.